Hi, if you're frustrated with your dating life, with men saying that they're going to show up for you, but they don't, or someone you've been communicating with for a week or two or more, and then suddenly ghosting you or sending you a text, basically rejecting you, and you're frustrated, you're not alone. You know, I'm just coming across so many people in that situation, and I sometimes feel like that in my marriage. So I want to be really vulnerable with you that relationships and dating is really hard. And I wish I could say it was fun and easy. I mean, there is. Recently, I had to reframe my thinking around relationships, especially the emotional part, as being like fun and exciting, like surfing waves, you know? Um, Otherwise, the pain in dating and love and relationships is so vast. It's like an ocean, and I had a recent experience like that with my husband, who's a really wonderful, wonderful partner and man. And I'm sure I'm doing my best to be a good partner to him. But, we're in these sandwich years. We're in the years where we're taking care of three little ones, 1, 4, and 7. We have elderly, disabled parents, and we are just trying to stay sane. And honestly, it's really hard to be there for each other. There are days when we're just like roommates, not roommates, maybe like, you know, running a company together and we're each doing our own thing. And if we get 10 minutes to talk to each other in a day, it's amazing. Our kids interrupt us, and by the time it's 8:30 or 9 p.m., when the dishes have been cleared and, the kids have been put to bed, then we're like, hey, what's up? And we try to watch a movie or, make love or something, and we're just tired. And in that exhaustion, we don't feel like our needs are being met from each other. We feel like our partners don't support us. And it's just a common phenomenon. We don't feel like our roles are being respected. What we offer isn't being, you know, valued, appreciated. And what else? Respect, trust. There's this need to trust, to be trusted, to trust the other. And it's overwhelming sometimes, the resentment that grows from you feeling like your partner doesn't get you, doesn't support you, doesn't, you know, value you as much as they value other people, like the kids, their parents or family or whatever. And so I found myself in that place of like, man, I wish I was single, you know? And I know that's not easy to hear when you're single and you really want to be on the other side of partnership. And yet, being in partnership, I can tell you that there is so much joy. Like, thankfully, we've been able to come out on the other side of difficult experiences and like have fun again and laugh again, and there's like a joy when you're evolving as a human, or you're evolving your relationship together, or you get through a conflict and you get to the other side and you're like, we did it. And there's like this ease and laughter that follows when there's emotional connection. And at the end of the day, that's what we want. We want emotional connection. Like, that's all we want, really. Of course, sex is great, mental connection's important, spiritual connection's important, but at the end of the day, emotional connection is really what we all want, men and women, and sometimes, a lot of times, it's hard to achieve that, you know? So I started reading some posts, listening to some talks like by Osho around aloneness and, recognizing that we come to this world alone, we leave this world alone, and you can only really love fully when you accept your aloneness. And that was very profound for me. I thought, for some reason, I thought I should feel connected. I should be feeling connected to life, to myself, to my husband, to my kids. And like, I should just be like overflowing with connection, with friendship. Sometimes motherhood feels very lonely because I'm just running errands all day, picking up kids, dropping them off, getting them ready for school. And even when I'm with them, it's fun, but they want to be witnessed, seen, loved. And you're not getting your own cup filled necessarily. Of course, you're getting the joy cup filled, but the empathy cup, the emotional cup, isn't necessarily being filled. And what I'm seeing is that almost nothing could fill that emotional cup. It's just there as a void. And, we use the word avoid because we want to avoid that feeling of emptiness, that feeling of existential aloneness, that you want your partner to fill for you. And sometimes I ask Christian to do certain things for me, like appreciate me, validate me, trust me, whatever. And it works as a balm for a little bit. And then it feels empty again. Then I feel empty again. Like the next thing comes, the next, frustration or disappointment comes along. And then that emptiness arises again. And what I'm also seeing is that it's not just that, but it's also this old victimhood trauma pattern that felt familiar for me, like from my childhood. Whenever I would see my parents fight, I felt a sense of inner turbulence and conflict within me, and just this despair. Like, things are never going to get better, and they're not going to connect with each other. They're not going to connect with me, and an overall feeling of disconnection. And there's no escape out of this. That's my own fear, that there's no freedom or liberation out of this pain cycle. We're just going to be stuck in pain cycles, being human. That and again, that's just, my personal quest for liberation and freedom, enlightenment even. And in that quest for enlightenment, I've studied everything you can think of, every religious tradition, etc. And or meditation tradition. I'm really into meditation and mindfulness, and that's what I'm coming back to. I'm coming back to mindfulness and meditation. This morning I meditated, and more embodiment things like being in my body, yoga, dancing, and just coming back into my body and filling my cup, filling my own emotional cup. So day before yesterday, when I was on my way up to the city to go to a party, I was sitting there feeling my loneliness, and also that old trauma pattern, that old nagging feeling of like, no one gets me, no one sees me, I have no friends, my partner doesn't get me, whatever. And just allowing myself to see my feelings and my needs. I use a tool called self-empathy from Nonviolent Communication. I highly, highly recommend it. I mean, it's been my go-to because I could really see that my inner child wants to be nurtured and made to feel safe. So I had to, I practice certain affirmations like I'm safe, I'm loved. I belong. I belong to myself. I love myself. And allowing the feelings, like whatever feelings were coming up, anger, rage, sadness, grief, the big ones that feel like an ocean when you start tapping into them. I just allowed myself to feel these emotions. And, if they are really big emotions, then I will try to go and embody them by crying and banging on pillows and screaming and playing music to get embodied in it. And, just in that moment, though, I was on the train and allowing myself just to feel my different feelings and naming them and like I was actually validating them to myself, saying, Sarika, I see you. I see your anger, your frustration, your grief, all of it. I see you and I'm here for you. I love you. And then also seeing the feelings and the needs that were fulfilled. In that moment, I was going up to a party, so I was having celebration. That was a need that I've been yearning for. I've been yearning to celebrate life, motherhood, friendship, partner, being married and whatever it is, like life. And so that was one need that was being met, safety and connection. Ultimately, it was that sense of connection with myself, which didn't feel like a lot in the moment because honestly, there's sometimes that cup, that void can feel so endless, so bottomless. And yet, offering that to myself allowed me to, like, then I got off the train and I was able to, like, smile and be present. I was, like, looking at everything with wonder because I walked into Penn Station and, it's all new now. And I was just, like, it was right pouring outside. I'm like, oh, that's exciting. And almost just having this childlike wonder that emerged because my cup was full. I thought it wasn't full when I finished the practice because I gave myself 20 minutes, 30 minutes. But then when I got out of the train and into the station, I was like joyful again, you know? And then I made it an intention that I would just go and allow magic, joy, presence at the party, at my friend's party. And it was beautiful. It was at this rooftop party. She has a beautiful terrace in her apartment. She's adorable. We've been friends for almost 20 years, so it was great to reconnect and meet new friends too and hear about all their dating stories as well. And so I was just able to be present and not get in my head. There were times when I wanted to give advice because, I'm a dating coach or, I'm married and all of that. And yet I recognize that that's not what we all need. We all need presence. We need to have empathy for each other and what we're each experiencing. I met one woman who married herself. Oh my gosh. It was the most fabulous thing I've ever seen. She spent nearly 100 grand or something like that, 80 grand. And she took all her friends to Mexico and her family. And she had this beautiful self-marriage ceremony. And I told her that I had done a self-marriage ceremony. And she was like, oh, I want to see pictures. I was like, no, actually, it was just me on the beach. Nothing big. But she amazed me. And I know that I wouldn't have been open to amazement had I not done that inner work before coming to the party, where I could just be open and not thinking about the past, not worrying about the future, not trying to do something, no agenda, just being present. And in that state, finding the magic. So I hope today something resonated for you or touched you about what I shared. I really just want to impart the importance of embodiment, of self-empathy, and honoring your aloneness. There's such a vulnerability in our aloneness, and honoring all the things that come up with our vulnerability, and how scary it is, and how scary it is to feel like no one else is going to ever meet that. Even if you meet Mr. Right, the perfect man of your dreams, he can't fill that gap. It's, from what I've seen, it's something that takes self-love, understanding truly what we want and need in our with ourselves, our relationship with ourselves, and then our relationship with others, including our partner, and then allowing us to co-create that together. Co-creation. But co-creation can only happen if there is a lot of self-awareness, and there's some self-reliance, and then there is some actual needing your partner for things, so there's an inherent vulnerability in it, because you'll not know whether your needs are going to be met. But thankfully, for instance, in our case, we have an amazing couples therapist, and she applies this methodology called imago therapy, and I love it. I love imago because it's all about understanding that in a marriage, we attract each other because of both our healed and our unhealed parts. And any conflict that arises is because an unhealed part is coming up to be healed. And your partner gets to hold that space for you. And that's how you navigate conflict and affirm each other, mirror each other, validate each other, learn from each other, and then your relationship is able to go to the next level. I think it's like, if I believe in dating as a self-discovery journey, which it really is, and I'd like to talk more about that, because the same stuff shows up when we're dating. I think that imago therapy is that next level, for when you are in a partnership, and how your partner can be that mirror for you, so that you can become more and more self-connected, more and more whole. And then when the more whole you are, the more you can enjoy this existence and find the resources that you need within. Your own garden is being nurtured, and and feels rich, and that's the space that you can operate in life, whether you're dating or single or in a relationship or your mom. You can bring that presence, because more and more of your the hurts are being surfaced and seen and healed, and the more whole you feel. So, and that's a path of embodiment too. Embodiment is about going from here to here to here, to your womb space as a woman, and even as a man, just really tapping into the depths of who you are, and your emotional state, your physical state, spiritual state, mental state, and so the practice that I shared with you today around self-empathy and being present to yourself, being aware of your vulnerabilities, loving and accepting yourself, affirming yourself during this journey, will help you become more and more present, so that more and more magic and synchronicities can occur in your life. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and share it, okay? And I want to hear from you, what your takeaways are, and how do you find a greater embodiment, greater depth of self-understanding and self-awareness, and so that you can be in that state of joy. What supports you? I'd love to hear. Take care. Bye.